Y'all want to hear a song to get you pumped up?
Oh, yeah.
For book club?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm already pumped for book club.
Let me preface this by saying I got an itch to hear Reagan by Killer Mike. So, I just typed in Reagan in my music player and found this by Serendipity. So yeah, y'all just listen and enjoy. Comment as you see fit.
All right.
To get along, and I know why. You think we owe you when we don't. Yeah, there's a welfare line wrapping round Main Street. That money ought to help our boys coming back from overseas. We're gonna paint this country red like Reagan. Gonna shoot our guns, gonna eat our bacon. There's a great big bald eagle who's smiling on us, and soldiers who died for your privilege to fuss. If you wanna leave, 'cause you can't take it no more, man, I'll show you the damn door. I'll show you.
This is so close to hey, Mr. Moon, America's gonna get you. It's just like one step away from that. Gonna go kaboom. Was nice to meet you.
Did he rhyme what Reagan with bacon?
Yeah, he did.
Is that Toby Keith?
No, this is
Sounds like Brad Paisley. Is that who it is?
No, this is from an artist named Buddy Brown. And after I heard this song, I did a deep dive into his catalog. He's got some real gems.
I think you found me a new favorite, Dylan. Oh, yeah. I'm digging that already. Fuck.
We got veterans living on the streets. So why the hell do we need refugees? They say, come on in.
Wow.
You can bring your culture. Don't pledge allegiance to our flag, just be a vulture. And don't speak our language, just hold your hand out. Man, I'm starting to think this whole thing was planned out. I call BS on that. I think our country's been had. And old Ted Nugent can't do it alone. I'm trying to tell you now, it might be too late. Them politicians run the schools, vote them in and bend the rules. If you don't agree, they tell you too bad. Well, I call BS on that. Yeah, BS on that.
This is not good.
Do a daggum thing.
I call BS on that.
I mean, this is not surprising though. Like, I think it's very well established at this point that this is what these people are like, and this is the kind of music they would create and enjoy. You know what I mean?
Well, it's just surprising to me that like the production values are like Nashville pop country level quality, and like
They even got auto tune.
yeah, and it's like I said, I kind of listened to all of his songs, and they're all pretty much the same. So yeah, it's just a little something to get you amped up, get you rowdy.
That's pathetic. That was some doo-doo, Dylan.
Y'all want one more?
Well, I'm trying to think of lyrics for him. I have a couplet
He's already done everything.
Well, I was thinking
You
like
can't-
rhyming floozy with me toozy.
Is gonna kill somebody and he's on the run. Out the door and into the busy streets. Cops chase him round town for an hour or two. Go back home, he's on the evening news. They tell us it's alright, we got him in custody.
He's a Muslim. He's a Muslim.
Yeah. Again, not surprising.
Wow. This country still has balls? What?
If this country still had balls, we would, just execute people without a trial.
Yeah. He's implying that this country does not actually have balls right now.
All right.
I don't mean to be a country smarty, but what we need is a good lynch party.
Welcome back to Book Club. I am your host and conch holder this week. My name is Dylan.
My name is Ansel.
And this is Elijah.
And the book that we are clubbing this week is Roadside Picnic by the Strugatsky Brothers. It's a sci-fi novel set in a kind of like a contemporary time frame where Earth has witnessed a visit from an extraterrestrial a group of extraterrestrials, aliens, if you will, and these aliens. It really doesn't go into detail about the aliens, but mainly they were just kind of unknowable. I kind of got the vibe of like some H.P. Lovecraft, like they were beyond human comprehension. These aliens. And what they left behind were these zones where they had basically they did not leave only footprints when they came to visit. They left some garbage behind. But as people over the course of several years were able to get some of these components of this superior technology, they were able to kind of boost human technology without really ever understanding the basics behind that technology. And the story revolves around a what is called a stalker, which is basically like a scavenger that would go into these very dangerous zones and scavenge tech and bring it out for cash. And
explain why the zones
Dylan.
were dangerous. What was
Yeah,
it about the
Dylan.
zones
Would you say there were zones of danger?
they were danger zones. And typically it was the visit of the aliens really changed the makeup of these zones, like and left like strange phenomena such as like areas of highly concentrated gravity that they called bug traps. There's something they call hell slime that apparently turns your legs into jelly. Things like that. And at one point, like there's just like spontaneous eruptions of extreme heat. Just all kinds of crazy phenomenon that would happen in these zones that was fatal to humans more often than not.
I got to say right off the rip, one of the most interesting things to me was how they described in the very beginning of the book that the zones on the Earth looked like someone had fired simultaneous shots out of a gun towards the planet. It was as if the planet had revolved and the zones were in a line.
Right.
Like machine gun fire, I guess you would say. That was pretty cool. I like that. Because, I mean, how else would aliens do it?
Yeah, it was pretty neat. Everything about the world building of this book I found really interesting. The just the world of this Earth post visit. The way that the stalkers worked. It was just it was a really cool book. Well, what did you guys think about this book?
I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. This is yeah. I don't really. That's all I really have to say about it. Is that it's wonderful. Elijah,
I loved it, but I due to time constraints was not able to reach the ending. I got darn near the end, and then had to and then had to reach. Man, you don't even know. You don't even want to know. Like, it has been a complete clusterfuck of activity here for 2 weeks, but I loved it, and I am going to finish it. I think I mentioned earlier, I kind of saw the ending coming after I researched it, or before I researched it, I kind of saw where that was going, and it's not a spoiler to me at all because I kind of saw that coming, and I thought, okay, this is awesome. I've got to finish this because this is great. But yeah, super choice, super book, well written, and again, it's a English translation of the original Russian, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I don't speak or read Russian, and I actually found a website where a guy does, and he says that there is a lot lost, even in the new translation.
Oh, wow.
A lot of nuances lost on the characters, and I thought, wow, because as well as it's done, that I can't even imagine it being better, but apparently it is if you speak Russian.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that because what my main criticism of this book is the language is. Not, it's good, but it doesn't do anything spectacular. Like I like a Blood Meridian. Some of the descriptions and everything were really breathtaking. And this one, it's just kind of plain the way he uses the words, and I understand that's probably a difficult thing to do as a translator to kind of. Because you can't just throw the original Russian into Google Translate and have something coherent come out the other side. You've got to kind of put your own spin on it, but you want to retain as much as the original. I understand it's difficult, but as the one thing that it took this book from being one of the best I've ever read to just being a very, very good book.
well, I thought the style fit it. I thought the language and style fit what it was because it really kind of had the feel to me of a noir type story, but it was with the it's that sort of spread over a science fiction background. I just it was a really cool combination, and a noir style has noir. That style has it's very plain spoken and simple and stuff, and I think it also the characters Ursula Le Guin says in the intro is just plain people from an alien visit from the perspective of just normal people too. So I thought actually the use of language and stuff actually fit the style extremely well.
That's I want to chime in and agree with that 100%. I didn't even think about it being in the noir genre.
Yeah,
but it
really,
I didn't even think about that. But I do feel it. And then also I thought from the beginning that it's such a story-driven narrative that any flowery language probably would have detracted from that.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Before we really get into it, let's one thing that this book does interesting, and usually in popular science fiction, when you're presented with a world where humans are interacting with aliens, they're usually, it suffers from like our own hubris, like humans are a major player on the galactic stage or whatever. But what this kind of poses is that we are so far beneath these intergalactic travelers. What do y'all think about that? And to do some examples, like I'm thinking like Star Trek, humans are a major player in the Federation or whatever. A big one for me is Mass Effect. Like the humans come onto the scene, and within the space of like one lifetime, they're major players in galactic government. And I really liked how this was like, no, that's probably not how it'd be. Like they would come and they would go, and we would be spending decades afterwards trying to figure out exactly what happened.
That's the thing. It's like if they noticed humanity at all, they didn't care enough to say anything. We're kind of unremarkable, as a matter of fact, from the aliens' perspective. Yeah, it was a good book. This is probably one of my favorite books that we've read. Probably my favorite book we've read as a book club.
Really?
Seriously, maybe, I don't know. I mean, I like the science fiction ones we've read the most, and I think the Ursula Le Guin ones were
top notch.
My favorite. I mean, my top 3 are all the sci-fi novels we've read. So,
well, this in this book, I think it's the scientist Valentine. He gives a long sort of drunken rambling in the middle of the book where he talks about. Or I think that's where the title of the book comes from, where he talks about the aliens using the planet as a roadside picnic, basically. And then he equates that to, okay, if you're a human in the forest and you pull over and have a roadside picnic, the animals, they don't have any clue that you're there other than being terrified of the fact that something is there they don't understand. And then when you leave, there's gum wrappers and condoms and what have you. And that's basically what these stalkers are pulling out of the zone, is the garbage that the aliens left behind. Another thing, and I didn't get to the end of the book, was there ever evidence that aliens were there, or that it was just probes that were fired at the Earth?
I don't think it ever said one way or the other.
I mean, it was strongly implied that it was actual visitors, but I don't know. I don't remember.
I got the opposite impression. I got the impression that there were no visitors.
I think they called it The Visit, so...
Yeah, I know they did, but I don't know if they fully understood what was there. It did totally seem to me like something was just shot from space at the Earth. But then you had corpses coming up. Yeah, anyway. I'm jumping ahead, but yeah.
No, that's fine. And just to clarify, like the entire action of this book takes place after, whether it was aliens or just probes have come and gone. And we're just dealing solely with the aftermath. Looking here, I got a quick little quote. You've mentioned Ursula K. Le Guin a couple of times. She wrote the foreword for this book, this edition that we all read. And I've got this little quote here. I thought it was just something good to kind of bat around. She says, "Science fiction lends itself readily to imaginative subversion of any status quo. Bureaucrats and politicians who can't afford to cultivate their imaginations tend to assume it's all ray guns and nonsense, good for children. A writer may have to be as blatantly critical of utopia as Zamyatin in We to bring the censor down upon him. The Strugatsky Brothers were not blatant and never, to my limited knowledge, directly critical of their government's policies. What they did, which I found most admirable then and still do now, was to write as if they were indifferent to ideology, something many of us writers in the Western democracies had a hard time doing. They wrote as free men write." And speaking on that, like these guys wrote this book in the right in the middle of the Soviet USSR. They were It was 1971, I think, when they wrote it. And yeah, I definitely noticed that reading it. It wasn't like openly critical of capitalism or communism necessarily. or really, like she said, any ideology. But I think it really did take a good look at human nature instead.
Yeah, totally agree. Cool.
I don't know. Maybe there's a bit of a slant, a bit of a, I don't know, I guess I could say a bit of an objective standpoint on crony capitalism and the military-industrial complex.
Yeah.
In the middle of the book, I think basically they even say, what if the aliens came here and said, hey, you have a military-industrial complex, and they just fucking packed up and left? Or, and one of them says, well, why didn't they try and stop us? And he says, okay, now you're talking about them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't overt, it wasn't an attack, but it was a philosophical question that was posed.
Yeah, and I think, like, I don't know, it's notable that the stalkers actually didn't really care about the goods from the zones. It's just like there was just a means for them to earn a living. Yeah. Except for the gold sphere, like they all seem to covet that one. I mean, it was hidden, and that was like the one thing that had something to give them, which was to make their, to fix what ailed them.
It supposedly granted wishes.
Yes.
Is what they said.
So that one was different, but the other ones they didn't care about that. Speaking of which, one of the things, like, I thought that he would wish when he got to the golden sphere, I assumed he would wish to make his daughter human again, like, because she became like increasingly less human as she got older. Like, she started out like covered in fur with black eyes. They called her the monkey. Mm-hmm. But as she, by the time he got out of jail, like, she couldn't really communicate anymore, and she was like making animal noises and stuff like that. So I thought that's what his wish would be. But he gets to the golden sphere at the end, and he doesn't even know what he wants.
Yeah. He has this really long internal monologue where he's debating on like what he's going to do here.
Yeah. I mean, that was an amazing ending to a book. Like,
yeah.
It really, like, is the old Shyamalan twist. I thought, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And Elijah, I might be about to spoil something for you, but I have this.
No, it's fine. I've already read the end through some collegiate journals that I looked up earlier.
Okay. Well, this is like the last paragraph of the book, and it's after the person that he's working with to get this golden sphere, this mythical object, got killed by a trap. He's proceeding. He knows he can avoid the trap now and actually reach it, and he's been deliberating with himself on trying to think of how he wants to request what he wants from the sphere, and this is kind of what he comes to, and I'll just read this here. The sun was baking. Red spots were swimming in front of his eyes. The hot air rippled at the bottom of the quarry, and because of this, the sphere seemed to dance in place, like a buoy in the waves. He walked past the excavator bucket, superstitiously raising his feet high and taking care not to step on the black splotches, and then, sinking into the crumbly rubble, he dragged himself across the quarry to the dancing and winking sphere. He was covered in sweat and suffocating from the heat, but at the same time he was chilled to the bone, trembling hard all over, as if hung over, and the flavorless chalk dust was crunching between his teeth. And he was no longer trying to think. He just kept repeating to himself in despair like a prayer. I'm an animal. You can see that I'm an animal. I have no words. They haven't taught me the words. I don't know how to think. Those bastards didn't let me learn how to think. But if you really are, all-powerful, all-knowing, all-understanding, figure it out. Look into my soul. I know. Everything you need is in there. It has to be, because I've never sold my soul to anyone. It's mine. It's human. Figure out yourself what I want. because I know it can't be bad. The hell with it all, I just can't think of a thing other than those words of his. Happiness, free, for everyone, and let no one be forgotten. And when he says his, he's referencing his partner there that kind of went charging for the spear, and he was shouting these things as he went toward it. So, but yeah, like you said, that is an awesome ending to a book, a beautiful ending to a book.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's kind of interesting to see this character. Red is the character's name. He kind of presents himself the whole book as sort of like a selfish. He's kind of like a Han Solo type. He does what he needs to do to get the job done. Everybody else be damned. But for him to be so selfless there at the end, like I thought was, I mean, it was better than Star Wars.
It was a. I mean, if this were a Star Wars, it'd be a good Star Wars.
The question, I think the question becomes: what do you think about the end? As far as the orb, does it grant wishes?
I think it's irrelevant. I don't think it matters.
How so? How so?
I don't know. It just sounded smart, and I didn't expect you to call me out on it. I didn't actually think about whether or not it granted. I guess I got the feeling that it didn't actually do anything, but only because, I don't believe in the supernatural. You know what I'm saying? Even though like this book is full of supernatural events, but they were like unexplained supernatural events, and so like the human idea of something that grants you wishes, I don't know. It seemed like it would be kind of more of a monkey's paw type situation, if anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I kind of disagree with that. Like, I think it's less about it actually granting wishes and more about it. I don't know. The way I kind of read it is that like both Red and the guy that he's after the sphere with, Arthur, were both kind of overcome, and they could only like say the same thing as they were going for the sphere.
Yeah.
It made me kind of think that like that might have been something that the visitors had put there and like everything else was like a test for the humans to see if they could get to that point, get to where it was, and come to that conclusion where, freedom for all, and let no one be forgotten. And that would be kind of like a key to opening up all the other mysteries that revolved around the visit and everything. That's kind of how I took it. And I guess afterwards I foresee a utopia springing forth from these zones.
That's freaking transcendental, man. That's really good.
What about you, Elijah? What do you think? What do you think
Well,
happened at the end?
I don't know. I'm actually with Ansel. I think it's irrelevant what happens after that. I think the point of it is that you follow this Han Solo-like character, Red, throughout the story, and he is the quintessential human. And I think deep down it shows that regardless of our own desires and our own needs and our own wants, when you're given the opportunity to even make an attempt to make the world better for your fellow man, that's what you'll do, regardless of the futility of it. And I think that's the entire point of Red being the one to actually reach the sphere at the end.
Okay, I can dig that. He did, like, right before that, he did just, like, totally sacrifice his partner.
Yeah. He totally let Arthur die for it. But greater good and all.
Yeah, it was crazy how he was just, like, smoking a cigarette or, like, drinking from his flask while just waiting for him to get in the bug trap, Yeah. It was pretty cold. But I think, like, talking about the zone and, like, my favorite part of this book is just how freaking creepy the zone was. And it's just, like, the idea, like, I kept having this thought when I was reading it. Like, this is like a book about aliens, but the alien world is actually just a normal city block. You know what I mean? It's just like, and it's like real, like some of the ways that they sort of create suspense in this place. It's like there was like a tire on the road, and the shadow is like going the wrong way. It's like the sun was behind their back, but the shadow was coming toward them.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that was so damn creepy, but it was just, you know what I mean? It was like, it wasn't like a Freddy Krueger type thing. It was just a tire with the shadow going the wrong way. It's just like, and like if you go in a ditch, like you're basically dead pretty much, and the corpse is rising from the dead, but like not being zombies. They're just trying to get home, and
Yeah.
you know,
That was one of the creepiest things to me is the scene where he's poured a glass of whiskey for his dead father, who's just sitting there, and eventually slowly starts to try and drink the whiskey. Mm-hmm. And I think earlier than that, it was a corpse they talked about that like went to his old home even though no one was there, and when they tried to stop him and they couldn't or something, and they busted the door open for him, and he walked in and sat down.
Right, yeah.
Just trying to go home.
There's that one, it was pretty funny, like, you know, some comic relief where they cut the corpse's hand off and keep it in the lab, and it just keeps like flipping them off. So it's like that like their limbs would continue to be
animated, yeah. But yeah, creepy, extremely creepy stuff.
But it's like, it's subtly creepy. I don't know, which is like,
yeah.
It was really,
which is even creepier.
It's
creepier
fantastic.
when it's subtly creepy. Yeah.
No, this was a winner of a book. This was a great book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
agreed.
Like, I've already read off all the things that I highlighted. It was basically just that intro from Ursula K. Le Guin, and then like the last paragraph. I didn't find myself like highlighting a whole lot of sections, and I think that's mainly because, like I said earlier, I didn't find the language itself interesting. So there wasn't like a whole times where I like stepped back and was like, wow, that's really well said. But the story as a whole really carried its weight, and yeah.
Let's the chapters are all very different, and they jump around in time a lot. So at the beginning, you have Redrick at the Institute, like working as like a lab assistant to Kirill, which that's another creepy thing. Like it's like they successfully get a full empty, which I love I love that expression. Like they have these empties in the lab, which are like two copper discs that are sort of permanently fixed at a certain length from each other, but it's, you know, you could pass your hand between them. And there's one in the zone, one of the zones where it's got a liquid between the two copper discs, and they call it a full empty. Anyway, they try to go into this garage to extract a full empty, and the scientist that he's working with, Kirill, he brushes up against this like silver cobweb that makes this tearing sound, and then he dies like that evening, I think.
Right, yeah. So he died of like a heart attack after they got back.
Right, yeah. And was that when they were famous and everybody was interviewing them?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, another example of just the strange kind of creepiness from this book that I think, like, I don't think I've ever read or seen anything like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very different. All right, so that was the first chapter. Second chapter, that's the one where he gets caught. But what happens before that?
Is that the one where he's dragging out the vulture from the zone, and he's got the old jelly legs?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
And yeah, he ends up getting caught and thrown in jail.
Right.
And then the third chapter is basically focused on that Richard Noonan character.
Yeah, Richard Noonan and the Professor Valentine, I think his name was.
Yeah, and he eventually goes and visits with Red and speaks with him at his home.
Yeah.
And then the fourth chapter is the venture to retrieve the golden orb.
Right. Am I mistaken? But does he not go in there for those because he turns him down like so many times, and eventually he goes at the Vulture's behest because he wants to help his daughter. Right? Did I read that wrong, or that's really the main thing? Or
Well,
no?
like in his inner monologue, he's talking about like he's asking himself why did I say yes this time? And I think the main thing was like he didn't want the eggheads with the robots to get to it.
But he was at the point where he didn't care anymore. He was like, I would immigrate, but they don't take immigrants from here anymore because, at the beginning they're trying, their organization's just trying whatever they can to get people away from this area. But by the time he gets out of jail and ready to go, they're basically quarantined and nobody can leave it anymore.
Right. Yeah, so it's kind of a rock and a hard place situation. And maybe it's a combination of all of it. I mean, the monkey is no longer speaking. She's no longer behaving human. The robots are taking over the jobs of the stalkers.
And there was,
so it's kind of a why not?
It was basically pretty much they had picked the zone clean at that point, too.
Yeah, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. They're only getting stuff on like the outskirts on places that they weren't able to reach to begin with. I got a quote.
Okay.
And you guys will have to help me remember who said it.
Okay.
We know that everything changes. We're taught from childhood that everything changes. And we've seen everything change with our own eyes many a time. And yet we're totally incapable of recognizing the moment when the change comes, or else we look for the change in the wrong place. Now, I think this is Noonan talking.
Yeah, I can't really recall who said that. I remember the part, and I think it was right around that part where he's talking to Red. So
I think it's Noonan in the car when he's going to talk to Red after he finds out that even though he's shut down all of the stalkers in the zone, somebody's getting loot out. What did they call it?
Right,
They didn't call it loot. They called it swag.
Yeah.
I think this is his inner monologue when he's driving to speak to Red. And this is before he has his talk with Valentine at the bar later, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Regardless of who says it. Not irregardless, because the phrase is regardless. And if you're saying irregardless, stop it. You're fucking wrong. It's regardless of who says it.
You got to pick your battles, man. People are doing a lot worse than saying irregardless.
No, they're not. No. Well, yeah, they are. They're putting Brett Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court, but
do I need to play some more Buddy Brown?
I think Buddy Brown might be.
Jesus, no. I could do with some Scatman though.
He's been practicing that like all Columbus Day. He's been practicing.
I knew he was waiting for it. Oh, it's Columbus Day. This is the Columbus Day episode of Book Club.
It's coming out the next day, but yeah, we're recording it on Columbus Day.
Well, happy systematic slavery to the indigenous brown people's day.
And also with
if that's what no, we don't celebrate that shit here.
If this country still had balls, we'd do another genocide.
We got way too soft. I don't have any quotes. I didn't highlight anything, but just think about this book. 4 chapters again, briefly. You got 1, the introduction of your main character, Redrick Schuhart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The second, you get a sense of like how dangerous this zone is, how dangerous and weird it is, and also like the military and police presence that keep, it's an added danger, like it's doubly dangerous. So that's your second chapter. Your third chapter is all about philosophy and human beings being unable to come to terms with what it is, what their role is in this alien contact or this alien visit. And then chapter 4, the climax, you have them going into the zone to retrieve, the most, the best, I'll say the best, what are they called? The best
swag?
No, the scavengers, what are they called?
Stalkers.
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 So you got the best stalker going in with the worst stalker to recover like the biggest prize in the zone. Incredible climax and an amazing ending. I mean, it's pretty much a perfect book. So that's, I mean, yeah. I don't have a favorite part, but I just can't. I just can't say enough about how sweet this book was.
You will recommend it to other people.
I will definitely recommend it to other people. I'm definitely going to read it again. And yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre. Like, we normally would have never read this book. Like, I had never heard of this book until just a few months ago. And yeah, it's like, I don't think it's on a lot of radars out there. So if you're listening to this and you haven't read this book, go read it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Go read it.
Even if we spoiled it for you, doesn't matter.
No, there's no spoilers for this book. You're going to take something out of it that we didn't, most definitely.
All righty. I don't think we this discussion hasn't really lent itself into comedy.
We are a comedy podcast.
We say that.
Well, the website says it. I don't say it.
we keep telling ourselves that. I've laughed a couple of times.
More Buddy Brown, please.
Okay, it looks like If This Country Still Had Balls is the most with 1.6 million views.
Let's go with that and read some comments.
Strange man walks in, holding his gun accused.
Top comment is from Buddy Brown himself. He pops in to say, "Thank y'all. Over 1 million views on YouTube, over 10 million views on Facebook, and over 1 million streamed on Spotify for this song. Never knew at the time this would start at all, but here we are. Yes, I understand the point of a jury, but we've lost our balls as a country. You shoot up a school, you should hang the next day on national damn TV to show kids growing up. We don't do this. Our softness will be our downfall. Take it to the bank. Most of us lead quiet lives and don't want no trouble. But mess with our family, friends, or our rights. Boy, you got trouble." And he sums that off with BB.
He doesn't sound very smart.
I mean, he can write a tune.
Yeah, that's true.
You gotta have some intelligence to write a tune. I'll ask you this: Is it satire?
No,
you don't think he's on a
I
good?
thought so when you were first playing the videos. I was like, yeah, this guy's just having some fun.
Buddy Brown, this is a great song, buddy. I've been saying this for years. This song is amazing. Thanks for using your talents to make it. I'm all for the death penalty, not this lethal injection shit, though. Let's hang 'em, shoot 'em, or put 'em in an electric chair. After a fair trial with a jury of their peers, of course. If you support the Constitution, then you have to support every word of it, not just the parts you like. This is the mentality that we are fighting against over the Second Amendment. My man. That's one comment there. Just my man. This song speaks what I felt for a long time. Why do we waste thousands on murderers doing life in prison, but we won't spend that money on care for veterans or our bridges and roads? Lethal injection costs $35,000 and a bullet is 50 cents.
Yeah, I'm just going to stop you there to remind you of the Obama era project for bridges and roads that the Republicans cut. All right, I'm done.
Buddy Brown, buddy, I couldn't have said it better. Way to sift people getting tired as far as these school shootings. Most are from people getting tired of being...
What?
I'm reading this one as it's written.
Oh, okay.
Let me start over. Buddy Brown, buddy, I couldn't have said it better. Way to sift people. I guess that's supposed to be soft. Way too soft people getting tired as far as...
Let me guess. The two is not the correct usage.
Oh, no.
It's T-O,
no.
right?
Yes, of course. Getting tired of being bullied. Hell, I was badly out of school, but damn sure didn't shoot up the place like a ass whooping these days, too, Lord. I could go on here. Love that song, bud. That's from YouTube user Jessica Rice. You are awesome, says somebody. Buddy Brown, I just highly agree with this song and truth behind the words. This time we brought back the real American way, so thank you for putting this song out. 100% right. That's the it should be. Then they might think twice before they did what the other shooter did. Show them we mean business. Mean as M-E-E-N.
Yeah,
we
sure.
mean business.
You know, this guy, he's trying to put himself out there to be at the inaugural concert for Trump's next term.
Yeah.
I think that's what this is all about.
Buddy, I love that you're exactly the voice we need to hear. Open-minded and don't give a damn if you offend people. Your words are very true. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Can I get a hallelujah?
I just had a good idea. Like, you know what we ought to do, like, to get back at these people?
I just had a seizure. I'm glad you had a good idea because I had a seizure.
A seizure?
Yeah.
Like a literal seizure, or should I be...
Yeah. No, like a metaphorical seizure.
Okay, because when you shat your guts out, I was laughing about it, and I didn't want to make that mistake again.
No.
But here's what we
Well,
can
let
do
me
to get
check
back
my
to
chair.
people. It's not like malicious. It's very appropriate. Okay. Next Democratic president, day one in office, change the system of measurement from imperial to metric, and then they'll never be able to measure anything again. And that'll learn them. Just like I'm serious. Day one.
I'm all for
Okay.
that. I've already been forced to learn it, so I'm all for that.
Hand off the Bible at the swearing in. Okay. By the way, America, we're metric now. Everything's metric.
That'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then you'd have Buddy Brown. I still counting miles.
My whiskey comes in pints.
Amen. I am a police officer. I go to work every day wondering why I do this to myself. We get shot at, but we better not shoot. We catch the bad guy, but they're usually back out on the street by the time our shift is over. People blame the cops for not getting the bad guy. We get them, but them being released is way above any police department's pay grade. All my brothers and sisters keep coming back to work every day because we love this country and pray that this country gets its balls back.
I bet
God,
this.
please let this happen
I bet
soon.
this butt muncher like files papers or something at a police precinct. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
No, he's probably an actual police officer. The bar is not very high.
well, I know that, but okay.
So we want to do ratings?
I can go ahead with a rating.
Go ahead with the rating.
All right, so I thoroughly enjoyed this book, and I'm going to go ahead and give Roadside Picnic by the Stravinsky Brothers.
Strugatsky.
Strugatsky.
Oh, also,
one,
one thing I wanted to mention, it's just like fundamentally true that anything that is created by siblings is fundamentally better. So
That's
I
absolutely
think that's one thing that
100%.
this book had really going for it.
You know what? I'm trying to think of a
that's
counterexample, and the fact that I can't think of a counterexample puts you in a checkmate type position. So
You got your car talk. You got your Matrix. You got Roadside
I mean, I would
Picnic.
walk 500 miles to prove you wrong, but I can't.
You got your Oasis.
yeah, you got your kinks.
So I'm going to give the Stroganoff Brothers and their awesome novel, Roadside Picnic, which I haven't finished but will and did research on what I didn't get to finish. I'm going to give it 3 out of 3 full empties.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, because they're rare. It's rare. I don't want to rate this as a science fiction novel. I understand that it's based on the premise of alien visitation to Earth and alien artifacts, but this is more to me a story about humanity than science fiction, and I like that kind of stuff. And it felt a lot like The Road to me, which, as you know,
Is
still
your favorite
number
book of
one
all
favorite book of all time, favorite novel of all time. We'll put it that way.
Okay.
But I love this. And again, going back to the beginning, I think the whoever did the translation deserves a shit ton of credit for how good this turned out. And that's my final say on it.
Okay. I'll go ahead. I like your rating, Elijah. 3 out of 3 full empties. That's nice. I'm going to give it
Full empties.
I'm going to give it a bug trap because it was like the bug traps in the book. Once I got near the zone, i.e. the book, man, it sucked me in real good. So I'm going to give it a bug trap.
Nice. I like that. Now, would you say those were zones of danger that sucked you in, or zones of pleasure?
It's too soon to tell. I don't know how this book's going to affect me. It's like it's like the monkey thing, you know?
Oh, okay, right. So if you stop speaking and start acting completely animalistic within the next few months, we know
That's right.
that they were indeed danger zones.
My rating is going to be 1 golden sphere because it made all my wishes come true.
What wishes would those be?
Well, no, it's the same thing that Red wished for, of course.
Happiness and for no one to be forgotten.
All right, you got this conch?
Yeah, let me have it. Thank you.
That was incredibly quiet conch this time.
Well, we're in the zone, so we don't want to disrupt any bug traps or anything.
Oh.
Danger zone. All right, over the next 2 weeks, we're going to be reading The Moviegoer by Walker Percy. I think that's his name, Walker Percy.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, Walker Percy. That's his name. That name again is Walker Percy. We are. It was recommended to me by a friend who has good taste, so I'm going to read it. And that's basically it. Elijah, bring that Paul Stanley Cup because you might be having to relinquish it in 2 weeks.
Oh, shit.
You haven't been taking selfies. Better go ahead and get those selfies in.
So.
Cool. Look forward to it.
Moviegoer.
Thank you for joining us. We'll catch you in 2 weeks. This has been Book Club. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
See you later, Elijah. Sorry I kept you up so late. My butthole's being a butthole. Bye-bye.
No worries.
All right.
No worries. Love y'all. Be good.
Love you, Elijah.
Love you too. Be good.